So Shruti asks, how has China managed to create super apps with good utility, and why hasn't this happened in India yet?
First, we need to understand, India should not compare, to China for simple reasons that, like for example, China had this problem of no single app store where you download apps from, right?
Mm-hmm.
China didn't have this issue of 25 languages.
Mm-hmm.
China didn't have this issue of American apps coming in and dominating the market,
Yeah.
right? So they had to build. So every company, when they were looking at building their ecosystem, be it let's say we take an example of WeChat, uh, they had to build products, or they had to encourage developers to build products and create their own ecosystem, because there's no single ecosystem where anyone could go and download a browser or download a game or download a utility app, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
helped people to discover this, because it was the market was so distributed when it comes to discovery of apps. Whereas in India, India has just 85% of the downloads come from one single place, which is and Android store.
What are some things that you think during, I think today's time, like you mentioned, I think especially around growth, CPM numbers were very, very small back then. So, that was one challenge. And today, I think with the current times, I think a lot of companies are having similar issues where maybe the budgets are small, but CPM numbers have shot up, like at least 20x is what I think the numbers are right now. So, especially with the new stint today, how are you looking at this challenge now?
No, I think, frankly, CPM and CPC, it doesn't really matter, right?
Okay.
Because end of the day, you're optimizing for conversion, right? And your
Right.
conversion could be, if you're a revenue generating business, your conversion is to make more revenue from the money that you're spending, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if CPM is 500 rupees, you try and make 750 rupees, 800 rupees, right? The idea is to be unit economics positive even on the marketing spends. So you obviously when CPM goes up, that
Yeah.
means the monetization opportunities are also higher, not just for the ad companies, but also for you. So the overall economy has grown. So when CPMs are low, that means the demand was less. That means the number of users were low. So it all
Got it.
grows collectively. So I wouldn't see CPM and CPC as any sort of an indicator. The only indicator is that if it is higher, that means there's a higher demand. If it is higher demand, that means you need to build a product which is picked up by everyone.
Which satisfy the, yeah, fair point. I think, yeah, that makes sense. Are there any suggestions or any case studies that you can suggest around like lower marketing budgets today? So how do you grow early? Say say you are currently in this early stage space where you're building out something early. So how do you look at that when maybe your marketing spends are a little lower, but you still need to grow during the current times? So any sort of
So
advice
when
or
you
any
say current
framework?
times, when you say
Yeah.
current times, you're saying COVID times, because this is like uncharted territory, right? No one has seen anything like
Okay.
that, right?
Right. So maybe post-COVID, if we can take, okay, say,
Yeah.
how should a company
I
navigate the
I
next
I
6 months?
I see, businesses which are running right now. I see an opportunity for reducing the marketing spend for sure. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
demand for marketing has gone down. That means if your business still running, you can crack some great deals. You can get, like you said, better CPCs, better CPM,
Yep.
focus more on conversion. One thing that and I've been seeing that happening because everyone is collectively in it, right? So everyone is
Yeah.
facing some or the other challenges. Uh, Something which I have helped couple of startups, couple of friends who've been doing startups to do inventory sharing or a traffic sharing model, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to help each other right now. No one is competing with each other at this stage, right? So can you find apps which are not directly competing with you? Let's say if you're a content app, can you tie with a news app? If you're a cricket app, can you tie with another kind of gaming app and do some sort of
Interesting.
inventory sharing, right? Because everyone is like I said, right now in the survival mode, right? So that is one way, and not just right now. In fact, I think inventory sharing is something that somehow has not really worked in India because there's no network that brings two parties together. But if you are creative enough, if you have enough context in the system, you can try it out with a couple of your friends who are founders or who are running other apps.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something which seems to have worked for some of the people I personally spoke to. But otherwise, also I think. organic marketing will never lose focus, right? It doesn't really matter what period it is. I mean, post-COVID, pre-COVID, everyone wants to grow organically, right? And
Organically.
two
Yeah.
things that everyone should look at is obviously, I'm talking about mostly because my experience has mostly been around consumer apps. Uh, you focus a lot on word of mouth, and word of mouth comes from a great product, built-in virality. How do you really bring in that little bit of social element, even if it is a pure transactional product? How do you really bring the referral, the natural build referral and not incentive based build referral around your product? How do you really focus more on ASO and SEO? And experiment around different kind of app titles, app screenshots. The ASO is something which we don't generally get time to focus on,
Optimize. Yeah.
and that's something which does not bring dramatic results. So yeah, so in that sense, is not going to overnight give you any growth. I mean, it's not something where you tweak something and next day you see jump in number. It adds slowly, and
Yeah.
that's what I think the typical growth chart should look like. You should build increment. You should have that small little incremental growth every week, every fortnight, every month, right? And that is where you start seeing dramatic difference in a couple of months. So that's why
Right.
when anyone who talks to me about ASO, they are looking for some quick hacks or
Yeah.
SEO. There's no quick hacks. It's just that you do these small little things, and next 2 to 3 months you'll start seeing some differences.
Fair point. Fair point. So those are longer term things, but um, yeah, I mean, I think these are things that will build up over time. You're saying to invest some time in building these things, and you'll see the results a couple of months later,
Yeah,
right?
right
So
now, for
those,
example, one thing which I've learned, and again, disassociating from CPM, CPCs,
yeah,
India has, there are a lot of micro entrepreneurs in India, right? Like Misho has shown, how can they leverage the large base of, people who are at home who can, monetize their time, monetize their own network. So
right.
affiliate model really has taken off in India. I mean that they've shown that model. When I say affiliate, I'm talking about these unorganized affiliate, right?
Right.
So every product has that kind of can you build for these people who can monetize from your product? They can
Hmm.
resell your product. So try and build small features, try and build modules where they can pick up your product, earn some commission on top of it. So that is best way of increasing your conversion, because now you're talking about not just spending money on ad impressions and not spending money on Facebook and Google. You're talking about giving a cut of your revenue, GMV, GTV, whatever you call it, to
Yeah.
these micro entrepreneurs. The good part is that it gives you free marketing. They all talk about your product. They share that product with their community. So what Misho has done for its own resellers, you can actually build your own Misho, or you can tie up with
Yeah.
companies like Misho and actually look at options on how you can leverage these micro affiliates. And that seems to
That's
have worked for some of the people I was talking to, and they've benefited from these 400, 500, 600, 700 people who are reselling their products. Even
hmm
though there's no like I said, conversion might be very poor.
Yeah.
Uh, it may not even work. But the chances are that if your product is good, it gets a lot of free publicity, right? I mean, you
Right.
get marketing. So technically, if there's no conversion, your product is out there with at least thousands of people, and hopefully some of them will pick up. And if not at that stage, maybe at a later stage they might convert.
Fair point. Fair point. So I think what you're speaking around is building a good referral system. How do you think around incentives here? Like especially when you're asking people to refer you, I think it's very important to build out a good incentive system, right?
I
That
think
works for you
incentive.
as well.
So my opinion on incentive is that only referrer should have incentive, not referee. Someone who's
Okay.
installing your app or using your service,
hmm
converting, they should convert purely based on the need that they have, because that is when you bring down the referral frauds. If it is only
Got it.
one-sided incentivized, which is the person who's pushing its network to try it out,
hmm
you get better quality users. I'm not saying don't do double-sided incentives.
hmm
It leads to more misuse and frauds.
Okay.
If you can crack one-sided benefit, which is only on the referrer side,
hmm
or even if you're doing two-sided incentive, have have it loaded towards the referrer and give less
75,
incentive
25.
to referrer.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, that's a nice point actually. Never thought of that. I think moving on, I'd like to dig deeper, but given the time, moving on to like one section that I think is going to be the meat of this conversation. I think I'd come across an interview where I think in 2016, it was with your story, where you said that the smartphone revolution is yet to happen in India. And I think that was because I think you were referring to the number of users that we have, internet users as well as smartphone users. I think today we are at almost 450 mil. So do you think we've arrived, or what are your thoughts on this next 2 3
Yes.
years?
So, yes, India has about 450 million smartphones, and that's a huge number. The
Mm-hmm.
good part is that the good news is that there are still 120 million, 130 million feature phones in India, right? At
Right.
some point in time, they will convert to smartphones, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so we can expect at least 50 to 60 million new smartphones coming in this year,
Mm-hmm.
out of which almost half of them would be first-time smartphone users,
Mm-hmm.
and that gives you one opportunity to attract a lot more users for existing startups who are already in already live. So they can expect at least 10 to 15% growth in smartphone users, right?
Right.
And now that we've all started using internet a lot more, we started spending more time. The engagement would also be a factor which most starters should start measuring, because it's not just about MAU DAUs. It's about someone is engaging with your app a lot more or not. So focus on the good part is that you're getting a lot of new users, and while new users will be less engaging because they're still learning internet for the first time. When they're first time smartphone users, technically they're first time internet users as well, because on feature phone the kind of internet you have is not really useful mostly. So you have to balance between your high engaging users and also this new set of users who need a lot of hand holding.
Right.
And India unfortunately has this. I'm calling it unfortunately because no one has still found a way to successfully crack this language divide that we have. There are
Mm-hmm.
15, 16 main languages. And I'm not talking about big companies. They can afford to have translation done in 10 languages, 12 languages. They have
Yep.
resources. They have they have money to do it. Like for example, I'm building my own thing right now. I'm confused. Should I build
Right.
multilingual version to start with? If yes, how many languages should I support? Each
Right.
language that I need to support means I need to put in that extra effort, right? So India has that very complex, unlike most of the countries worldwide where there's just one language. Uh, so that is something which we'll see a lot more happening with all these first time smartphone users coming in. We've seen that in last 2 years. So 2016,
Mm-hmm.
when we had 200 million smartphone users. Uh, Almost 70 80 million people could understand English, right? And that means 40% of people could understand English.
Mm-hmm.
That number has not changed. So
Yep.
now that means only 20% of people understand English. So
Right.
2 years down the line, this 20% will come down to 12 13%. So you have to increasingly build apps which are for non-English users, and that's a challenge. It's complex. It's not easy because I think translation quality in some of the apps that I've seen is not up to the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Human translation is costly.
Yep.
So yeah, that's while we have the opportunity of new users coming in, we also have this unique challenge of handling non-English speaking population of India.